unfolding now.
It wasn't a rock or even a brick, but the owner of this car says what caused all this damage came straight out of the jungle.
Whoa. You could have died. I could have died.
Governor Greg Abbott visiting the U.S.-Mexico border here in Eagle Pass, joined by a group of governors who are in full support of his border security efforts. Details up next.
And I'm tracking the tropical development in the Gulf of Mexico. It's rain and what that means for us. I'll be back with the very latest in just a bit. News at 5 starts right now.
First at 5, a developing story. Overnight, 2 deadly shootings within just 30 minutes in 2 neighboring towns. Jourdanton and Pleasanton police, along with the Atascosa County Sheriff's Office and Texas Rangers, now investigating, say they believe those shootings are related.
Courtney Friedman is live from the Jourdanton Police Department with a breakdown of both of those cases. Courtney?
Yeah, Tim and Ursula, that first shooting happened here in Jourdanton around 1:30 this morning, right around the corner from here on Elm Street. We did talk to several neighbors off camera who didn't want to go on camera, but they said they saw heavy police presence here at this corner home on your screen. Police say they found 23-year-old Jorge Erosa, who had been shot. They took him to the hospital, but he did not survive. Within 30 minutes of that shooting, police were called to another one, only 6 miles away in Pleasanton on North Mansfield and West Goodwin. That's where police found 18-year-old Ross Cruz Jr. with multiple gunshot wounds. He was pronounced dead at the scene. We spoke to family members who gathered today at a home on the street, but they did not want to comment on this shooting. At least 4 law enforcement agencies are working together on these cases, saying that they are related. We also need to mention a manhunt that was happening this afternoon here in Jourdanton, right behind the hospital. Heavy police presence that we saw that broke up around 45 minutes ago at 4:15. Now, we want to show you also a Jourdanton PD Facebook post. You'll see this man on their post. It shows sheriff deputies arresting that man or putting him in custody. I have asked multiple agencies if this was related to those shootings, but they still have not responded. They did make a comment on a Facebook comment from a viewer that they are not looking for any more suspects right now. They also mentioned in that Facebook post that any lockdowns that were established were no longer in being locked down anymore, but they did not say what those lockdowns were. We just know that we confirmed they were not at any of the schools. For now, we're live from Jourdanton Police Department. Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Courtney. Great job. Also new at 5, the phrase, "It's a jungle out there," carries new weight with a local woman who says she narrowly escaped being hit by a spear that someone had hurled at her car.
As Katrina Weber shows us, it shattered her window and rattled her nerves.
It was a pretty scary event. I was not expecting that.
She never saw it coming, but that frightening surprise came close to causing Siobhan Canales some major harm.
It came in right here, so the spear handle was probably sticking out about that much.
You heard that right. It was a spear that crashed through her windshield after 9 last night, lodging inches from where she was sitting.
Right in this area. It didn't pop anything.
Canales shared video she recorded as San Antonio police came to collect it, a 5-foot-long hunting tool.
Yeah. Whoa.
She says she was on her way to a friend's house at the time, passing through the area near FM 1516 and I-10, just outside Converse. Out of nowhere, her car was hit. Canales said she had just made her way through this turnaround area when all of a sudden her window exploded. She has no idea where that spear came from.
It was not, road rage or anything. This was unprovoked and just completely random.
Why someone would do that is a question that so far no one can answer.
I think they're trying to intentionally hurt somebody. I'm just thankful to be alive because, I have kids.
The unexpected attack, though, wasn't exactly pain-free. Canales says it will cost her about $400 to make repairs. Katrina Weber, KSAT 12 News.
Governor Greg Abbott along the border today in Eagle Pass. He was joined there by 4 other governors who support his border security plan, Operation Lone Star.
We have our crew right there on the ground in Eagle Pass right now. Jonathan Cotto joining us live with how the governor is selling his plan and what he's already done to change it in order to avoid a border dispute.
That's right, and as you mentioned, Governor Greg Abbott, along with several other governors, visiting Eagle Pass here today, and they are in full support of Operation Lone Star. Now, these governors are present today because they too have sent a number of their National Guard here. But the biggest takeaway is that these governors who are not from border communities are in full support of the state's use of these buoys to discourage illegal immigration. The governors from Iowa, Nebraska, Oklahoma, and South Dakota all had an opportunity to get a bird's eye view of the orange buoys placed along the Rio Grande at the Texas-Mexico border in Eagle Pass. The fellow governors showing support for Abbott's plan, but also affirming that they will stand behind any consequences he faces from the Biden administration. At the press conference, Governor Abbott defending Operation Lone Star and the state's authority to continue to secure the border.
And let me be clear. We are fully authorized by the Constitution of the United States of America to do exactly what we are doing, and that is to secure the border.
A survey conducted by the U.S. International Boundary and Water Commission released last week stated that most of the 1,000-foot linked buoys installed along the Rio Grande were in fact on the Mexico-owned portion of the river. Today, Governor Abbott says out of an abundance of caution, Texas has gone back and moved the buoys to ensure they are on the U.S. side of the river, and also states that in regards to international treaties, buoys are listed as a permissible device. Now, we also spoke to La Unión del Pueblo Entero, a migrant advocacy group who says the Department of Justice is preparing to request an emergency injunction by a federal judge that would require the state of Texas to remove the buoys from the Rio Grande. There's supposed to be a hearing taking place tomorrow in regards to their positioning. And coming up at 6, we're going to take an up-close and personal look at these controversial buoys, a clear explanation of how they're designed to work. Live in Eagle Pass, Jonathan Cotto, KSAT 12 News.
Those 3 words changed the course of Kiet Nguyen's trial as a guilty verdict was declared before any testimony could be presented. Nguyen, on July 5, 2021, fatally shot his brother-in-law Ryan Vo over a business dispute he was having with Vo and his sister outside a nail salon off Blanco Road. After the verdict form was filled out by the jury, the punishment phase began with surveillance video of Nguyen and Vo arguing, when out of nowhere, Nguyen pulls out a gun and opens fire.
I looked up right at the 4th shot to see, an individual getting murdered.
Alexander Reimers was one of several witnesses. He was eating lunch in his work vehicle when he saw the shooting happen and was even able to give police Nguyen's license plate number when he called 911. Nguyen was arrested and charged just hours after the shooting. And when it's time for the jury to decide, they can still pick from that wide range of punishment, which is 5 to 99 years or life in prison, and they will be deliberating this week. At the Community Justice Center, Erica Hernandez, KSAT 12 News.
San Antonio homicide detectives need your help finding the person responsible for a deadly shooting downtown near the Riverwalk. Police releasing this video of the suspect. That shooting happened back on December 30th of 2021 following the end of the Alamo Bowl game in the 500 block of Market Street close to the Marriott over on the Riverwalk. Detectives say witnesses saw the suspect wearing a pink backpack. Now, what led up to that shooting is unknown, but police say the victim, Leo Cameron, was shot in his upper body and died at the scene. After the shooting, they say the suspect walked down to the river level and headed towards the convention center. Now, if you recognize the suspect you see there, call SAPD's homicide number. It's 210-207-7365.
As the school doors open on the Northside School District this week, a new superintendent will be at the helm. Dr. John Kraft making a move from Killeen ISD over to Northside. And with that move, he almost doubles the number of students enrolled in the district that he oversees. He sat down with KSAT 12's Steve Spriester in the latest edition of Spriester Sessions and talks about what drew him to the district, its statewide reputation, and the issue of school safety.
Are you comfortable with where the district is right now when it comes to public safety?
Well, I don't know that I can say comfortable, because sometimes comfortable can be confused with complacency. And I think that we do work to try to stay on the cutting edge. I do think that our police department, in my assessment, over 100 officers strong, their equipment, the video equipment that we're able to really provide a lot of surveillance with literally 8,000 cameras is state of the art. I mean, it really is very, very impressive. But at the same time, I think it's very dangerous, particularly as it pertains to school safety, to rest on your laurels, if you will. And so we're going to continue to watch trends and look at different programs that will only enhance our ability to be safe.
Now, you can watch the entire Spreester sessions on our KSAT streaming services. You can also scan the QR code that's on the screen right now, and it'll direct you to this story.
Well, the building is buzzing with activity and excitement because we are now just a few days away from the KSAT Pigskin Classic kicking off in the Alamo Dome. If you don't have your ticket yet, now is the time to get yours before they're all gone. Tickets are on sale now. You can get one. Just scan that code to see all of your ticket options. The first game is this Friday. It'll be all you can handle with our triple header on Saturday. And we aren't the only ones who are excited for the KSAT Pigskin Classic. Our KSAT community team also getting excited during this year's games. They'll be collecting donations for the San Antonio Food Bank for all of those games, and you can scan this code on your screen right now to make a donation, or you can just head over to our website, ksat.com, to see the full list of the items that the food bank says they need the most.
Taking a live look outside with your traffic authority, and you can see there is a big problem here at US 90 at Military. Right in the middle of your screen, you see a white truck. Somehow it got turned around on the median, on the actual barrier between the north and the southbound lanes there at Highway 90. You can see emergency crews on the scene. It looks as though they've got that truck up on a tow truck now, but I don't know how they're going to get it out of there. It might take a bit. In the meantime, they've blocked off the left-hand lane headed there on Highway 90.
A record-breaking day here in the Alamo City. 105, the high temperature officially in town, and that's a record by 1 degree today. It also marks our 23rd consecutive 100-degree day, so that's the most we've ever had on record here in town. We surpassed 1962 for the #1 spot over the weekend, and it does look like this trend comes to an end tomorrow. 93 our high temperature, then it's back to triple digits, and that 93 is a result of clouds and some rain that's headed our way. You look at the satellite imagery over the Gulf of Mexico. That's where we have Tropical Depression 9 that has formed and likely to turn into Tropical Storm Harold later on tonight. We're going to talk about this and what it means for our rainfall in just a few minutes.
That looks great. Thank you, Adam. Still ahead, though, our extreme heat did nothing to stop those unwanted summertime companions from leaving their sting this fall. Mosquitoes are coming, and you're going to want to be ready for them. Instead of hard chemical repellents, how effective are the natural versions? We have the results of a comparison test next.
I'm Myra Arthur, and here's a look at what we're working on for the news at 6 o'clock today. A former San Antonio police officer accused of shooting a teenager back in court today. For the first time, that teen sat in on the hearing. We have an update on this case. Plus, what was once a downtown car dealership is transforming into a new entertainment district. It will be called Make Ready, and we'll show you the plans. All that and more today on the news at 6.
Thank you, Myra. It is hot, maybe even too hot for mosquitoes. Some of you might not have seen many lately. There have been plenty in my backyard, but experts say once the temperatures do start to drop off, those mosquitoes will be back, and they'll be more likely to spread diseases with those bites.
And just last week, West Nile virus was found in a 7th mosquito in our area. So protection is key, and 12 on your side's Marilyn Morse takes a look at what works.
The idea of using a bug repellent with natural ingredients or Googling a homemade recipe might seem appealing, but that could be a risky move.
Mosquitoes and ticks can spread really dangerous diseases like West Nile virus and Lyme, so it's super important that you use an insect repellent that actually works.
Year after year, Consumer Reports tests a lot of insect repellents, including many with natural ingredients, and every time the results are similar. The most effective repellents contain 25 to 30% DEET.
Our tests also found that some non-DEET repellents, like those containing 30% oil of lemon eucalyptus or 20% picaridin, also worked, though not quite as consistently as DEET.
Here are two they recommend: 3M Ultrathon Insect Repellent 8 and Ben's Tick and Insect Repellent Wilderness Formula Pump. Both aced their bug bite tests. But what about the products you don't actually put on your skin? Do those work?
When it comes to things like citronella candles, wristbands, and sonic repellents, there's just very little evidence that shows any of these things really work.
What does help keep mosquitoes and ticks away? Keep your yard free of containers with standing water. Another easy way to keep the bugs away from you is just turn on an oscillating fan. It creates air movement and keeps you cool too. Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News.
We knew we were in big trouble this afternoon, Mr. Caskey, when we saw it was 101 at 12:30.
Yeah, Justin was texting the weather team, and it was before noon, and he said, already 98 with some clouds overhead. So yes, 105 our high, but we're going to break our streak of 100-degree days very briefly tomorrow. I want to get to our rainfall chances because that's what we're focusing on tomorrow. We need the moisture. We need the rain. This is not going to be a drought buster for us, and really not much of a drought denter either around San Antonio. But notice between, I'd say 11 a.m. and 5 p.m., that's our window of opportunity for rain tomorrow from this tropical depression that's moving in. You look at the radar right now, and actually the showers and storms aren't that far offshore. It's a pretty unorganized system, and the showers right now, the nearest ones at least to the coastline, are about 80 miles east of North Padre Island. You look at the satellite picture and you see a lot of orange here and red. That just indicates the colder cloud tops and development of thunderstorms. And notice how it's spread across most of the Gulf of Mexico because it's an unorganized system. You know, when we talk about how we want these systems to stay unorganized, this is what we mean, because that spreads the moisture over more real estate. This is, however, gaining a center of circulation, so it's now technically a tropical depression, number 9. Winds of 35 miles per hour, gusting to 45, and likely to become a tropical storm later on tonight, which means winds of 45 miles per hour. And even as it comes on shore, very early tomorrow morning, probably winds around 50 miles per hour in the strongest part of that storm. So it's really not going to be much of a wind event with this system, just a quick hit of rain, especially in deep South Texas. So that track moves it on shore early tomorrow morning. It's moving along pretty quickly, and that really is going to help limit its potential of further development. Take a look at our futurecast and notice how overnight tonight, by midnight and thereafter, some of those showers come on shore closer to Rockport, Port A, Corpus Christi, Baffin Bay, down the land cut as well. Showers and thunderstorms move inland then gradually by sunrise. At sunrise around here for the morning commute, I think we'll be dry in San Antonio. Odds favor that. By 11 a.m. through 5 p.m., that's when we can start to see some of the bands clip San Antonio and surrounding communities. It's not going to be continuous rain. It's going to be just some quick downpours, tropical downpours with some lightning and thunder coming and going, especially between 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. And then notice it's out of here by sunset tomorrow evening. As for the rainfall potential, least amount of rain along Highway 90, that includes San Antonio. The most amount between Laredo and Corpus Christi. That's where we're talking 2 to 4 inches. Locally, it's closer to 1/4 of an inch with the off chance of a weak spin up or two, as we can see with these tropical situations. The quick tropical funnel not out of the question. 104 currently, dew point is 62 this evening. Temperatures falling through the 90s, 10 o'clock, 92 degrees. No rain chances this evening. It's tomorrow, especially midday through the early afternoon. But notice that high temperature, 93 degrees here in town. Talk about a welcomed change. I'm going to have more updates and get into this more in depth coming up at 6 o'clock.
Very welcome. Thank you.
KSAT Pigskin Classic kicks off Friday with a big one.
It sure does. And also on Friday night, though, we have BGC coverage with Steele and Brennan. They're the top 2 ranked teams, Tim, and 12's top 12. Coming up, we're going to preview this contest, listening to the Steel Knights at first. Plus, the Houston Texans, well, they had to cancel their joint practices with the Saints, and they'll tell you why coming up. Our big game this week will feature the #1 ranked Steel Knights and 12's top 12 hosting #2, the Brennan Bears. The regular season is here, and this is a sweet matchup to help us kick off week 1 in big game coverage. Now, last season, these two faced off in week 1 in the KSAT Pigskin Classic, and Steel won a thriller 35-34, scoring the final points with 18 seconds left in regulation. Chad Warner to Royal Capel for the tie, and then the extra point for the win. These two squads are a bit different personnel-wise from a season ago, but Steele knows Brennan is a huge test right out of the gate.
We're very excited, but we're just focusing on preparing ourselves really. We know that they're a worthy opponent. They're going to give us a good matchup, so we're really just getting ready this week. We've been preparing all summer, getting ready for the season.
Especially with the schedule we have, I mean, it's going to prepare us to go along and play harder and just help us prepare and just keep getting better and better as we keep playing. And it's just a great way to start playing against them.
Yeah, it's a great matchup. Anytime we're setting your preseason schedule, you want to play some teams that are really well coached and compete at a high level, and Brennan does that for sure. So we'll get a test early.
Coach Signs and his Steel Knights will host the Brennan Bears Friday night, 7:30 at Linhoff Stadium.
Football coverage brought to you by Davis Law Firm.
After holding joint practices last week with the Miami Dolphins, Houston Texans were scheduled to do the same thing with the Saints in New Orleans this week ahead of their preseason matchup. But last night, the Texans and Saints canceled those practice plans.
With canceling the joint practices with the Saints is where we are as a team, a little banged up. So I thought it's in the best interest of our team, right, and putting our guys first that, we should do the joint practices. And thankful to Dennis and the Saints for, the opportunity to have the joint practice and, with them working with us, being understandable. And one thing we always talk about is, team first mentality, and that went into the decision. So thankful for, Cal and his support and also our support staff.
So it's business as usual for the Texans this week as they prep for their final preseason game with the Saints Sunday night at 7 in the Big Easy. We will be right back after the break.
So tomorrow, especially between 11 a.m. and 5 p.m., we'll have some passing showers and storms, generally around 1/4 of an inch here in town, so not really a drought denter. Isolated storm chances this weekend, too.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you for watching the News at 5.
World News is next. We'll see you at 6.